But the minute I walked outside the door, I was an ordinary shit ass,
Yeah.
you know. And the only thing I did not do was pick a drink up again. But you change, and it's a gradual thing to change. But it was a huge thing of being willing and being honest with myself, not just with anybody, with myself in general. And getting to the point where I was honest and very, needing to communicate with another human being about what was going on. Not just one, several. That's what worked for me. I'm not saying everybody go out there and blab their business or do, hey, I killed a cat next door 5 years ago. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you want to be open and honest, and that's one of the biggest. I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you want to know. I got bombarded with questions last night with a bunch of people that I do because I'm so open. And one of the biggest questions I get asked when people pass away, one of the first things they ask me, and as painful as this is to say, they'll say, did they suffer when they passed? That just goes to show you the ignorance, and what I mean by ignorant is not stupidity or being dumb. It's just not knowing.
Yeah.
Of the stigma of alcoholism and addiction, that's another thing. Going back to your friends, that poor baby, suicide. It's huge. It's a huge part of all. It's mental health.
Mm-hmm. It's the thing about it is that I think where we all are, we're coming together in a bit of desperation, is that what more, those parents, what more could we have done? The blame, shame, and guilt of the people closest to that person. I should have known. What did I not see? We had the perfect, family. Everything was pulled together. It looked like, but we can't help that internal. So much that, just like Eeyore, the child may not want to share. And
right.
And I remember, there's this woman, and it goes on with what you were talking about. There's this woman that she's a new acquaintance, and she was very, very excited. She had stood beside her boyfriend, who was in jail for 2 years for a DUI, which, if he was in for 2 years, sounds like he had more than one. I'm just saying. And she was excited. It was coming up on the day when she was going to go pick him up. Just because this happened, she still had this relationship with him through these couple of years. And she was like ecstatic. She couldn't wait. They had talked every day. They both were in, all this anticipation and everything. And when he got out, the first thing he wanted to do, which was very hurtful to her, Todd, it was to go on Facebook and tell people he was the 700 and some days sober. And what he was getting from that was all this funneling, congratulations. Second to that, he started messaging the guys that got him in trouble in the first place. Not got him in trouble, but his wrong crowd,
right.
and that kind of thing. And she had this, how we accept to not expect people because you just never know. She was under the impression that when he would get out, it would be about staying sober, being with her, building their life together. What are the first things we're going to do together when you get out? All of that kind of thing. And he couldn't wait to get back and start communicating with them. And I mean, within 24 hours, she said, I'm not doing this. I waited 2 years. I was there by your side. And the only reason why you were sober is because you were in jail. I am not going to be that person that's going to be here. I mean, how hurtful can you imagine? And
True, but on a side note, she kind of did it to herself with an expectation of that. Listen, I made a lot of jailhouse promises. You'll
jailhouse
say
promise.
anything when you're behind them walls.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
You'll promise
I
anything.
wanted to kind of understand that because I, of course, I'm a girl and I'm her girlfriend, and I felt bad for her. Um, really bad. It's we can't help it but have this fantasy in our head of how things are going to be, and who knows what's going to happen. Shawshank Redemption. These guys get out of prison, they don't know how to live any other way.
No. That's why I keep saying that maladjustment to life. I didn't know what it was like for people to be nice to me, Aunt Beth. I had lost that. I had been so skewed by, my alcoholism and things that I didn't know what it was like for somebody to be nice to me. When I went to treatment and they offered me flavored coffee, I thought it was a cult. They were poisoning me at first.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I got up and bolted out of there faster than you could, bat an eye. It's the same thing when you're locked up. When you're inside, it gets to the point where you're just happy you're talking to that somebody's answering the phone when you call. Somebody cares about me a little bit, and you'll promise them the world, and maybe not even in a bad intention type of way.
Mhm.
But the minute you set foot on that open, free ground, boy, do things change. Unless you've changed or made the commitment to change while you were doing what you were doing inside. But most people don't. They just sit in there and abide and ride their time out. You know,
When
you get out, you're free to do what you want.
when when
And the
when
game
people
changes.
are in jail, do they have is there obviously you said there's the network that you have that helps you through. Do they have that counseling for this type of jail time folks that were addicted and in trouble? And do they have the help? Or is it
No,
something that.
not well. Some do. Some have programs in them.
Hmm.
Uh, Not any ones around here. They say that they'll pass a can around at some of the meetings and say this is for literature and things for Summit County Jail or whatever it may be. And listen, I have never seen 1 ounce of paper that had to do with any type of recovery in that facility, and I've been in there a lot. Okay, and it's just it's just not a thing as far as certain institutions, I guess you'd say,
Hmm.
and until you get out, it's in what you want to do. Now there's talk about it, and obviously people that go in there that are may or may not have been through it and fell short in the program and things of that nature. But no, in all honesty, nobody wants to hear that shit when they're behind locked doors,
I see.
for the most part.
Yeah, you have to be ready. You have to be
Yeah.
ready. I kind of, in my head, as she was sharing this with me, I was relating it to some of the conversations that you and I have had. And you're mentioning that you were in and out, a few times.
Hmm?
And I wonder, you know, what what can be done. But then in my own right, just like I had to realize, um, because when I was going through my thing, and it wasn't drugs or alcohol, but when I was going through my self absorption, if you'll call it, I thought I was
Hmm.
fine. I had my house, I had my car, I had my job. I was a responsible human being. I had great daughters, and such. And I finally had to realize that I made mistakes. I was responsible for those, and I am now responsible for getting myself out of this mental situation. And it wasn't until I started opening up and just saying, "Hey, I'm not perfect. Here it is." I cry myself to sleep. I can't sleep. I'm up. I'm worried. I'm thinking about all these, You know, you and I talk about shoulda, coulda, wouldas, blame, shaming, guilt. I say those so easy because I know those were my kryptonite, and it was eating me alive. And now I'm in a situation where it's like this, Todd. I think I'll go. God, the years I wasted going through that. If I'd only now I'm going. If I'd only done that sooner. And then I look at what I have and the relationships that I have and the work. There's still some triggers. There's still some areas of somebody can say something and insecurities will flare or whatever. If you want to put words on it, immaturity, insecurity. But I'm not perfect, but I'm in a much better place and I know it. And here's why. It's how I feel. Like, I mean, health, like not sick. You know, can you speak on that? That you know what we tell
Absolutely.
ourselves and
This goes back to what we were just talking about. With the two tragedies that just happened, and all this questioning, and how people view us from the outside, or those types of families, cookie cutter type things.
mm-hmm.
Please show me, Aunt Beth, the perfect parental guide. This is life, and there's going to be bumps and bruises. There's going to be horrific tragedies, and God forbid anybody ever has to go through them. But they do happen. It's the same thing in life. We're going to go through these things, and like I said before, people want to try to see the best in someone,
Mm-hmm.
the potential in someone. And when they fall short or don't meet that expectation, guess who gets hurt? You know, it's just like your girlfriend saying, you know, I did this, I waited for you. Well, whose fault is that, technically?
Yep.
What was your part of it? One of the biggest things we fall short on doing is seeing our part in things. I've done it. I just did it not too long ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it's okay. It's okay. But if it's repeated behavior, now you're just doing it on purpose, and there's just no sympathy for self-inflicted wounds. And I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
I've also done that.
Yeah.
But it's hard. We don't want to look at ourselves. I don't want to blame Todd for stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean really that was probably that ego got in my way, and I remember I used to go to church every Sunday, and I wanted to sit in the farthest back row and just sob. And that's exact from the minute that music started to the end. And strangers would come up and hug me and stuff, and it's like it was embarrassing a little, but I mean I don't know why I put makeup on to go there, because every Sunday I knew I was just going to be. And then one Sunday I came in, and he moved all of us little misfits that were in the farthest back row as farthest as we could, the darkest part of the church. He decided to section that off, and we weren't allowed to sit there anymore. And he wanted everybody to start filling up the front. And I'll tell you, I stopped going to that church because of that. But he wanted people to come together and be closer, but I wasn't ready to do that yet. And it was uncomfortable, and it was foreign, because you know what a social person I am. And I'm not kidding you. I was still hiding. And I don't know if I'll pick it up and start going back there. My faith has never changed. My relationship with God, I said, you just got to understand, I'm not ready for that. And, I came clean with God and said, that just wasn't my fitting there. And I don't know. And here's what happened a couple of times. I ended up helping somebody else through my tears. And she was like, more felt that it was somebody she could relate to, and we chatted for a bit, but I 100% was not ready, and I don't know that I still am, but yeah, he wanted to shift things up. He did not like me being in that back row, and he told me that. I was going out to the parking lot, and I said, why'd you do that? And he said, because that isn't what church is, to come together. It's to build a family, and I was worried about the people in the far back row. I couldn't see them when I was speaking, and I couldn't tell if it was
No,
his ego